So we're going to be building out this SEO audit tool. We're using Firebase up here to build this out. This is a vibe coding tool, which allows you to create beautifully stunning web applications like this in a matter of like 10, 20, 30 minutes. And essentially, in a nutshell, what's going on here is that a user would put in their particular URL over here. In my case, I'm just putting in my AI agency here, and it's going to give a full on SEO audit to that particular customer. Like you can see over here, it's going to give things like the word count, total links, unoptimized images. And if I wanted to, like, for instance, take a look at these images, I could be like, okay, this image here might need to be optimized, which we can see on our website over here. And so this is the kind of stuff that you can sell to clients. So you could offer as a lead magnet where you say, hey, I'll give you access to this, but you have to give me your email so that I can sell to you later on. Or you could just have it in your suite of services that you provide to people. And essentially what's going on here is this is what we're building out today. This is going to be 100% free in the description for all the blueprints. And then we're going to connect this in at a backend into n8n. And so what n8n is doing here is when somebody inquires about an SEO audit here by putting in their particular website and then saying analyze site, it's going to start this workflow. This workflow really has three main parts to it. The first part is we're going to conduct a full SEO audit. We're using Appify here. And so Appify has this SEO audit tool in here, which is this right here. And this will perform an entire audit on that website, not only on just their homepage, but it can go into all of the other pages as well, and then perform audits on those pages as well. And then we're just going to structure the data properly so that we can send that back into our particular SEO audit web application that we've built and then display the data over here. We can see multiple different pages, page 1, 2, 3, and 4, go back and forth between them and display all the tools to hopefully help clients improve their SEO performance and get to the top of page 1. And so this is what we're building out. It's 100% for free. With that being said, let's dive into this right now. I'm going to open up an incognito tab just because it clears the cookies on my computer, and you'll see what you see by going through this is exactly the same experience you're going to have while setting this up for the first time. So let's get started here. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to head over to firebase.com, which is a free Google application. We're going to click Get Started here. Now, this is essentially a one-to-one competitor with Lovable over here. The main difference is that you can, start Firebase completely for free. And while you can do the same with Lovable, the cost of Lovable just adds up really quickly. And this can be very expensive very quickly, which is not necessarily the case for Firebase. The downside of using Firebase is, that you just run into a lot of freaking errors when developing this kind of stuff, and it just takes longer to do the same thing. Now, I suspect that because it's a Google product and they're probably throwing millions or billions of dollars at it, that it'll eventually be much better than Lovable one day. But at the time at this recording right now, it's not there in my opinion. We're going to try Firebase for free. And just to note, all of these applications, n8n is going to be for free, as well as Appify, it's going to be for free. Obviously, they have paid models, but you can get started completely for free. And we're just going to go ahead and select I agree to the terms of services and hopefully not sell away your entire life and your firstborn child over here. And of course, if you're like me, you don't want to receive emails, then you can uncheck that and click confirm. Now we're able to do vibe coding where we can type in exactly what we want. And I've gone ahead and I've created this prompt here, which I'll leave in the description down below for completely free so that you guys can import this in as well. Let's just kind of go through this one step at a time. We're going to build a web app UI with the following features. First, a text box for the users to enter in their particular email. This is this text box right here. We're going to, first of all, get this running. And then when the user submits that particular URL by analyzing the site, what's going to happen is it's going to send that data over in the form of a post request to n8n's webhook. And so we need to have our scenario here, which is this webhook receiving data. So we're sending it from here over into n8n, and it's going to fire off that particular workflow. It does contain one value, which is the URL. So if you recall, we need to enter in the URL. That's going to pass over here so that we can web scrape over here. And how we're doing that is using the SEO audit tool here. Now, once that has been completed, you need to you're going to have to receive JSON data back, which will contain the SEO audit results. And then we're going to, in a nutshell, just kind of display all this data back inside this web application here. And in these last couple points, that's exactly what I kind of mentioned. Here's the data that you're receiving back. Display this in a tabbed layout. When I say tabbed, I just mean like, you have multiple tabs over here. And inside each tab, this is kind of more or less what you're going to be displaying, which is all of this data down here. And then more or less that is it. And we're good to go. And of course, make it clean, responsive, and mobile friendly. Actually, I might be like, use an ugly and unresponsive. I'm just kidding. That would be horrible. Please never do that. And then we'll prototype with AI, which means that we're going to build it out. Of course, Google makes the wording as complicated as possible. Would you like to create an app or would you like to prototype with AI? Which would you prefer? Sweet. So it's going to go ahead. It's going to fire this up. And we just need to do one thing, which is incredibly important, which is we need to tell it, hey, we don't want to use Gemini and GenKit. Google's like, hey, we have all the solutions that you need. Just go with us for everything. The reality is that we don't want to use Gemini because what we're doing is we're connecting into n8n on the back end. So we're sending data over here to fire off this workflow to receive that SEO report. And if we use Gemini GenKit down here, it's going to screw up absolutely everything. So please don't do that. Like if you're in other use cases, obviously, I'm sure this is incredibly powerful and beneficial. It's just that for this specific one, it's not all that beneficial for what we're doing. And how we can bypass this is we just type in this one prompt here, which is do not use Gemini. n8n will handle the webhook. It's going to go forward and process everything again. And this time it's going to remove this Gemini GenKit. And then we can choose prototype this app. And then we're good to go. This is going to take probably 5 minutes to build. And so before I let you guys go and resume afterwards, I just want to say you're freaking awesome. Thank you for watching this video so far. Really appreciate you guys being here with me. And I'll see you when this decides to load into geological eras. I'll probably have like wrinkles on my face, gray hair, maybe even be bald by the end of this. But anyways, I'll see you guys when I get back. Okay, we're finally back. Hopefully I don't look way older. Maybe a couple of wrinkles up here. I don't know. Anyways, we'll get into this. We'll try it out. We have the app up and running. I'm going to copy this particular URL from my AI agency over here, and we're going to analyze the SEO score over here. First thing I want to do is I just want to make sure inside n8n we have the webhook firing so that we can actually receive data. And then we'll click analyze the results, and it's going to wait to fetch the data. We're going to see if this ends up firing off. And in this instance, it doesn't look like it is. It looks like it failed. So what I want to do is I want to make sure to reinstate in the Firebase app that we need to send data over to this particular URL right here, because sometimes it just doesn't get it the first or the second or the third time. So I'm just going to say, please make sure that when a user submits, and I'm sorry if my face is blocking this, I'll show it after, submits a website, it sends the website URL to this webhook here. And so I'm going to paste this in, and it looks like it's just going to take a couple seconds to load. Okay, so it looks like it's updated the website here. I'm going to go ahead and paste in my URL one more time and see if it works this time. So we'll send the data over, and we'll see that it doesn't appear to be catching the information on the webhook side as well. So in a nutshell, this is kind of going to define your experience with Firebase. I don't want to sugarcoat this at all. This will probably change in the future, but right now it just throws 1,000,001 errors, and you have to hit this issues box over here. And then it's going to say, hey, we've detected 1,000,001 errors. Do you want to fix these errors? And you just have to keep going back and forth and choose fix error down there. And that is going to be, in a nutshell, your life using Firebase until you solve the problem. And so it's just going to self-correct itself by recoding what's going on. It's going to receive the error, diagnose the error, solve the error, rewrite the code so that now you can go back and forth and try it again. And so we'll see. It looks like we have 8 issues down here. It's going to update that, and then we'll go ahead and try again once this has been successfully updated. Okay, and it has successfully resolved itself. So we're going to go ahead, test this out one more time and fire off this webhook to see if we receive the data inside n8n. And again, it looks like we are not actually Okay, it does look like it has pulled in the website here, but it doesn't actually look like it sent the data to n8n, which is interesting enough that it never connected into n8n, but we're receiving the data back from it. And so we can see down here that it says mock page 1, 2, 3, and 4. So what I'm going to do this time is I'm going to copy the URL again and say, please send the webhook data to this URL. So again, so again, with Firebase in its current state, it's really buggy in my opinion. And so you just have to go back and forth and work with it to find the solution that you're looking for. So I'm just going to type in here, can you please tell me where you're sending the data to? Just because I want to see, like, it's clearly not going to n8n. So what is actually going on with the data? The data is being sent in the n8n webhook URL. And okay, perfect. And I'm just going to say, I'm not receiving the data in the n8n webhook. So what is going on when I click Analyze SEO? And so it's just going to tell me here what is going on. You can kind of see my prompt here. And we have a response back. Okay, let's figure out where the data is going. It's not reaching the webhook. When you click this, okay, so it's just going to recode everything from the ground up again until we essentially hopefully get it right this time. So it's refreshed. We'll give it a shot again. I'm going to analyze the code, trigger the webhook, send it off. And this time we have now received the webhook result inside n8n. So again, we're just having to go back and forth over and over and over again inside Firebase until it gets us the results that we're looking for. And a lot of the times I find that with this application, you just have to ask the questions like, hey, what's going on here? This is what is supposed to happen, but this is what's actually happening. Why is this the case? And then it'll take that information, understand it, process it, and then fix it. And so now we're at the n8n section of this particular build. This is going to be in the description down below for free. In a nutshell, we're receiving the data in the webhook. We are going to web scrape the results from Apify, and we're using the SEO audit tool. Again, Apify, 100% free to get started. You can create an account. We're going to go into the console here and we're going to go to the Apify store. In these search actors, we can type in SEO audit. There's a bunch of tools that do this, but we want to select the SEO audit tool here. And this is a pay per usage. You get $5 for free every single month with Apify, which resets monthly. And so you can scrape quite a bit for free without paying for anything. Inside our n8n environment, we have this HTTP module. Now, Apify does not have a native integration into n8n, so we had to build it out here. The distinction between an HTTP module and literally anything else here is that with something like ChatGPT, the n8n team has gone in and developed an integration, which is a native integration with HTTP requests. You have to be the developer. You have to build it out. And so essentially, we've gone ahead and done that. Here's all the information here. We have a post request, which is saying we are executing something in another application. In Apify, we are executing a web scrape. We're creating a web scrape. That's what we're doing. Post is essentially synonymous with creating something. And then this URL we're sending it to is this particular actor here. So we want to make sure that we're actually calling this SEO audit tool here. We can go to API and we can go to endpoints. And on the third endpoint here, this is exactly where we're sending the data so that it executes the SEO audit. Past that, this is just a bunch of boilerplate stuff that we're entering in here that you have to pretty much put in every single time. Now, just an easier way of doing this, which I'll show you really quickly, which is kind of outside the scope of this video, but I want to show it because I think it's important, is if you type in HTTP request and you get a random HTTP node here, you can essentially bypass this whole thing by hitting import curl, and then it's going to build the whole integration for you. Inside Appify, we can go into the API section over here, and we're going to choose this third one because this is essentially running a web scrape and then it's getting the results back, which is a 2-in-1 kind of action. And so if we go into the view API reference, this is going to be the documentation on how to build this out. This is mostly for this is kind of technical jargon here, but it gives results on the side as to how this looks. With the command line interface, or CLI for short, we have all this code here. There should be this copy button right here, which we can essentially just copy this, and then we can paste it right into this import command curl here. And now we have everything completed for us. All of this kind of stuff, the only thing we have to do is change the authorization here, and then we have to change this actor ID. The actor ID in a nutshell is right up in the URL up top here, which we can grab in case you want to use Appify for another purpose other than this particular workflow. And then lastly, we need to get an API key, which is in settings, API keys, create a token, create a description for it, and then copy it. And then you're good to go. And so more or less, that is what we're doing here. We're getting the results of this SEO audit, which is going to analyze multiple different pages on my particular agency here and tell me exactly what I'm doing right and what I'm doing wrong. And now we want to display that in this particular application here. And so all the heavy lifting, all of the particular, the whole SEO audit is done by this. So we can take a look and see the results here. So in a nutshell, it's telling us things like unoptimized images, word count, all of the details that we'd want to probably know in order to improve our website performance. Then we have this code block here. This looks a bit intimidating, but it shouldn't be, just in the sense that this is what ChatGPT can do for you. You don't have to know how to code this. You just need to know what to ask ChatGPT to do. And in a nutshell, what this is doing is it's just removing duplicate pages. There's a lot of pages here that have the same URL, like this, for example, this book page, but it has URL parameters at the end. Your parameters are defined by this question mark, meaning that you're just providing additional context to the page. And the reason I did this was just for split testing purposes. So I can define version 1, version 2, version 3 to split test what has the best results. And so we don't want to pass in multiple of these booking pages here. We just want to have one. This whole script here is going to, in a nutshell, remove all the duplicates. Then we're choosing the limit here. The reason why we have this limit is because we could scrape 1,000 pages, 2 pages, or whatever, anything in between. I just chose 4 here. I think it's a good blend. And also, if you end up scraping too many pages, Firebase is going to time out. I think they have some safety feature or whatever in their backend where essentially you cannot scrape indefinitely. You have to, you only have a minute or so. And with web scraping results, if we just go over to actors here, we can see that these take time to scrape. So we can go into this and go into runs here. Usually it's 29 seconds, 28, 31, 39. So if this takes too long, it can time out and this whole thing will draw an error. And so what we're doing here is we're limiting the amount of pages we can scrape to avoid errors occurring. And then we have this ChatGPT node here. In a nutshell, we're taking this data here and we're just structuring it in a way on the left or on the right-hand side here that we can present this data inside our Firebase application. So we get all this data and we want to structure it in our own way. Now, there's 3 different system messages here inside ChatGPT. And let's just kind of go through these really quickly. We have a system message, which is you can think about it like parameters inside n8n. It's defining the context. And so in this case, we could say hey, you are taking data from an SEO audit and you're structuring it in a particular way. We're telling it what it's actually has to do, what's going on. With the user message, we're defining the input. So we're saying, here's the input data that you have to play with, and this is what you're manipulating. And then the assistant message is the output over here. We're saying, hey, this is what we want you to output the response as. So we're giving examples of what the output or what the response should look like after it's been done. So if we open up this response, in a nutshell, we're saying this is exactly every single time how the data should be outputted when you run this node. Here's the input information. So we have like all of the, the whole audit report of all the website pages. And then over here in the main prompt, system prompt, we're just defining how we wanted to output particular data and what the fields we want to grab and how we wanted to structure those fields and all that kind of stuff, and additional context to that. Apart from that, we're going to aggregate everything together. What this means is that you can see that there's 4 items. We're scraping 4 different website pages here. One website page here, another here, another here, another here that we can go through. And we need to merge them into one list. We don't want 4 website pages. We want a list with 4 website pages. The reason why is because Firebase is expecting 1 response back with all of these pages. But if we send 4 responses back, it would only receive the first one. And so we need to make sure that we have a list of 4. And what this aggregator does is it merges all 4 independent pages into a list right here. So we have already a table. You can think about it almost more easily like this, where we're just merging it all together into one list and then sending that list of 4 pages back inside to Firebase. And so that is what's going on here. And now we're getting this error where it's saying analysis failed, webhook returned unsuccessful, or malformed data. And this is guaranteed to happen because we haven't defined how the data is being sent. So if we look at n8n here, we can see the response webhook. This is the JSON data. On the right-hand side, this is what we're sending back. But with Firebase, it doesn't understand, it doesn't recognize the data we're sending back. It doesn't understand like, okay, we're giving you a URL or a summary and a metrics and details. We need to structure this and tell Firebase, hey, this is the exact format that you will receive data in so that you can take that data and then turn it into a page like this. And so the biggest challenge that we have is just how do we tell Firebase the structure of the data, this exact structure here. And here's how we do it. We're going to set up an independent HTTP request here. And what we're going to do is we're going to send this data to an external source so that we can see with our own eyes what the data looks like when we receive it. You could just take a look here, but n8n, the way they kind of structure the output here is not actually the way that you receive data in an external application. So let me explain. We're going to enter an HTTP request here, and we're going to go to a website called webhook.site, okay? And I'm just going to enter this into Google here, and then it's going to be this particular website here. We have this URL. It just generates a unique URL that we can send data to, receive that data, and see how that data is coming in. So we're going to paste it in here, this URL. We're sending data over to that website, and it's going to be a post request, which we can see it's accepting post requests here. That's the format because we're sending something over. And so we can go ahead and we can test this out, and it looks like everything worked. Back in here, we can see a result coming in. And this, let's see the request format. Okay, that looked like it, it's because we didn't send any data. So we need to create a body, and this body is essentially the data we're sending there. And we need this to be in the format of JSON data. We're just passing raw data. Now, whatever we pass to test in here, it has to be the exact variable that we pass in here. So we're passing in JSON.data. And so I'm going to pass in as well JSON.data, and we can test this out. And now it should work. We have received another request, and this is the data received, okay? And the interesting thing is like, if you look at this, the webhook response is not actually the same as this. Like, technically speaking, it has the URL, the summary, the metrics, details, all this kind of stuff. This also has it. URL, summary, metrics, details, all that kind of stuff. The problem is that you'll notice that over here, it doesn't have this data field over here. And so this is an extra thing that it's like kind of, if you were just to copy this whole thing and just copy this, you'd be copying the data here and everything else, and then it just wouldn't understand it. So we need to actually see the exact format that's being received and then copy this whole thing. Okay. Then once we copy this, then we can go back inside Firebase and we can say at the bottom, I'm going to try and zoom in here. Please change the webhook response to receive data in the following JSON structure, or following JSON format. And I'm going to paste this in and scroll up because I think I was blocking it there. So I'm just saying, please change the webhook response to receive this data. We're passing in exactly what we received inside this webhook.site. And once we pass this in, now Firebase will understand, hey, I get it. Like, I understand the format of the data that you're asking me to receive. And once it understands the format, then it can take that data and it can structure it to create this beautiful design here. And so this is just going to take a bit of time for it to load and recognize this, but it will go ahead and update its code base to reflect the fact that it needs to receive this data in a particular structure, which we can see right here. It's going to reset the page, and I'm going to test this out. Just before I test this out, I'm going to make sure that I pin this particular Appify actor and this ChatGPT node here, because these can take a bit of time just to run. And I just want to speed up the time here so that we're not waiting for these things to always load, because otherwise it could take like a minute or two every single run. And so we're good to go. It's updated it. I'm going to analyze this particular website. It's going to push it through our n8n environment, send it back, and now we have officially received the data here. And you can see that it's pulling in the main page, it's pulling in the book page, the careers page, and so on and so forth. And so this already is a really good start. I'm really, really liking this. So in a nutshell, we're done. But we can take it one step further. The reason I say this is because I just don't like the way this is formatted. Like, it has the information it needs, but it doesn't look beautiful. And for that reason, I created another prompt down here, which says the goal is to turn this into a beautiful dashboard to deliver an SEO audit of a website. Can you arrange this data in the most visual, beautiful way with as many graphs and charts to display the data as possible? So we'll go ahead, type that in, and then generate another response of this Firebase web application. Okay, and we're good to go. We'll give this another shot here. I'm going to copy in the URL of my website, and then I'm just going to make sure this is running on the back end one more time, and we'll analyze that page. Looks like the results are running, and here we go. This is another version of that same page, and this kind of more or less looks a lot better to me. I think that this is really, really cool how it's structured. And now we have tons of graphs here. This kind of looks a bit weird. I'm not going to lie. This kind of looks a bit out of place. Looks like, all of these tabs are kind of not structured properly. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually just going to copy this, and I'm going to say this section here, this section isn't displayed properly. It's only displaying on half the page. And so in a nutshell, I just copied that section of the page and I just told it, hey, you're not like showing it mobily, or it's not optimized properly. So it just needs to go back and restructure the page one more time. And one more time, we'll test this out. And I just really want to point out, because I think it's important to note, that at this point in time, you're just going back and forth. There probably might be errors that arise from Firebase. There might be other issues that come in, and you just have to kind of go back and forth, fix any errors that arise, and just tell it what you like and what you don't like about the particular web application that you created. So now we've gone ahead, formatted it again, and now it's looking a lot more beautiful. We can go through all of the different pages here. It's displaying everything. It's giving us nice little icons and boxes. That looks pretty cool to me. It's also showing the different word count per page and the total links and the optimized pages and all that kind of stuff. So I think that's really, really cool. But that's essentially, in a nutshell, how we can create our own web applications using Firebase very, very quickly. The main point is that we just need to make sure we can receive data inside n8n in this webhook, and then we can send data back to Firebase. And then once we have that solved, everything else is just a simple prompt, a way to be like created, styled, or whatever. So thank you guys so much for watching. I really hope you found value in this. Apart from that, you can just go ahead and publish this web application, and then you're well on your way. If you guys are interested in taking AI automation the next step, highly recommend taking a look at my school community here, where there is 2 primary outcomes. Number 1 is to help people automate their entire business. I'll give you the exact blueprints that I use to scale to 7 figures, replace myself from the company, and just have it run itself. And then the second group of people is those looking to create AI automation agencies, and I'll give you the exact roadmap that worked for me. So thank you guys so much. If you haven't done so already, hit that subscribe button down below, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Thanks, and bye-bye.